Welcome to another project. In this project, we are going to create a real-time character counter. As you can see from the final version of the project, we have a container here with a text area, and we have the total characters, which is 0 now, and the remaining 50. As we start writing, you can see that the total characters is increasing, and also the remaining is decreasing. And when we reach to the 50 characters, we can see that we cannot add more text inside this text area. It doesn't allow me to write any more text. And also the remaining is set to be 0. In this project, we're going to use JavaScript to calculate the number of text inside this text area in real time, and also dynamically change the total characters and remaining using JavaScript. In the next section, we're going to start with the HTML part of the project. So see you in the next section. All right, let's start our project. First, we open the Visual Studio Code, and here we close the Get Started tab. In the File menu, we click on the Open folder. I would like to create the project in my desktop, but you can create it anywhere you like in your computer. So here we click on the desktop. We click on the New Folder button to create a new folder, and we name the file Real-Time Character Counter. Real-Time Character Counter is the name of our project. We enter to save the name, and we click on the Select Folder button to select the folder. We close the Get Started tab again, and on the left side in the Explorer section, we right-click and we click on the New File to create an HTML file. We name the file index.html. Now on the right side, we have our HTML file, which is completely empty, but we can use an exclamation point to create an HTML5 boilerplate. We just write an exclamation point, and we can press Tab, or we click on the first auto suggestion to have our HTML5 boilerplate. In the HTML5 boilerplate, we have doc type, which tells the browser which version of HTML the page is written in. And in our case, as we are using HTML5, we just need to have HTML in the opening tag. Then we have the HTML tag, which is the top level element inside the HTML file, and the head and the body tags are inside the HTML tag. Then we have the lang attribute inside the opening HTML tag, which sets the language of the page, and we set it to be English by just writing EN here. And then we have the head tag, which includes the 3 meta tags and a title tag. The character attribute inside the first metadata tag defines the HTML character encoding, and it's set to be UTF-8, which is recommended by HTML5 because it nearly contains all the characters and symbols. Then we have the compatibility meta tag, which tells the Internet Explorer browser to use the most recent rendering engine, which is Edge. The viewport meta tag sets the initial zoom level and the page's width by these settings. The first one is sets the page's width to device's screen's width. For example, if the page is small, like a mobile screen, the page's width will be smaller than a bigger screens like desktop computers. Then we have the initial zoom level of the page, which is 100% as default. Let's use Alt-C to turn on the word wrap so we can see all the codes. Then we have the title tag, which sets the title of the page. We can see the browser inside the Visual Studio Code in real time using Live Preview extension, and we just need to right-click and we click on Live Preview, Show Preview, but you have to install Live Preview extension previously. So we click on this section. Now we have our browser on the right side, which is completely empty, but with the title document. Let's close the Explorer section to have more space on the right side. And let's change the title of the page to the name of the page, which is Real-Time Character Counter. So we just say real-time character counter. Then in the body section, we have a container that is the main container and the box that we're gonna have our counter. So we call it just container. It's a div with a class of container. And inside this div, we have an h2 tag, just the name of our project, which is real-time character counter. After the h2 tag, we have a text area, so we can write our text here. So add a text area tag. The text area, we just remove the name. We don't need it. We just add an ID of text area, and also we add a class of text area. We don't need columns and rows. We're gonna style it later using CSS. And also we have a placeholder saying, please write your text here. We can write our text here. And then we want to limit the number of characters that we're going to write here to, for example, 50 characters. We just need to use max length, for example, 50. You can change this one according to your website or project later. So if you write something, as soon as we get to the 50 characters, we cannot write anymore. It's going to limit us. Now I'm typing, but we cannot see anything adding inside the text area. After this, we have the counter area. We have the total counter and also the remaining. So we create a div here with a class of counter container. And inside this div, we have a paragraph saying inside total characters. And inside we have a span, because we want to change this section using JavaScript later dynamically when we are typing. So this span has a class of total counter and also an ID of total counter, so we can easily get them inside the JavaScript. Just for now, we just write a number inside the span. We just say, for example, 30 or something, and then we're going to change this number dynamically using JavaScript. Let's copy this using Alt-Shift-Arrow down, and we change this total characters to remaining. And also here, these two totals, we just change it to remaining. And just change this number to, for example, 20. Also, later we're going to use JavaScript to dynamically calculate the remaining and also the total characters. In the next section, we're going to start styling our project using CSS. So see you in the next section. All right, in the last section, we have finished with the HTML part of our project. In this section, we are going to start styling our project using CSS. First, we need to create a CSS file. So here we open the Explorer section using Ctrl-Shift-E. And on the left side, in the Explorer section, we right-click and we click on the new file. We name the file style.css and we press enter. Now we have our style.css file, which is completely empty, but we can't use it yet because we must add a link to the CSS file within the HTML code. So we go back to index.html, and just after the title tag and at the end of the head tag, we add a link tag. We just write link and we click on the third auto suggestion, the one with the CSS. Now we have a link tag with the relationship between the HTML file and the external style sheet. The href attribute defines the destination of the link, and as both files, the index.html and the style.css are located at the same directory, We just need to have a style.css for the URL. Now we save the file using Ctrl S, we close the Explorer section, and we start styling from the body tag. So we go to style.css and we add body here. We open a set of curly braces. First, we remove the space around the body element using margin 0. Then we bring these items to the center horizontally using display flex and justify content center. Next, we bring them to the center vertically using height 100% of the viewport height. It means that the height of the body is similar to the height of the screen. Then we can use align item center to bring everything to the center vertically. Let's change the background color of the body and we set it to be, for example, salmon color. And then we change the font of the project using font family property and we set it to be cursive. It's just my preference. You can use any font family you like for your own project. The next things we want to style is this container that covers everything. This div with the class of container, as it is a class, we have to use dot at the beginning of the name of the class as the CSS selector. We change the background color to light pink. We can use Alt-C to turn on the word wrap so we can see all the codes clearly. Then let's change the width to be 400 pixels. Then we add some padding to push everything to the inside. And we set the padding to be, for example, 20 pixels. Let's use display flex to be able. Actually, we don't need display flex. Let's add some margin. So when we decrease the size, I want to add some space around the element. So we just say margin 5 pixels. And let's add some borders around the container using border radius. And we set it to be, for example, 10 pixels. And let's add some box shadow so we can see this container more clear. So we use box shadow property. The first value inside the box shadow property is the position of the horizontal shadow, and we set it to be 0. The next value is the position of the vertical shadow, and we use 4 pixels for it. You can see it here. Then we have the border radius, which is 8 pixels. Sorry, not border radius, the blur radius. Yeah, blur radius to be 8 pixels. And then the color is black, is fine, but I want to add some transparency to this color. So we use RGBA function to set the color. RGBA stands for red, green, blue, and alpha. We set 0 for red, 0 for green, and 0 for blue, which gives us the black color. Then we use 0.3 for the alpha value, which means 30% transparency, or you can say opacity. All right, now we have a beautiful box shadow. Let's size this text area, style it. So the text area has the class of text area as well. So we can target it using dot text area selector. We open a set of curly braces. First, we prevent the resizing. Now we can use our mouse to resize the text area, but we can just set it to be none. So now we cannot resize it, but we size it ourselves. We set it to be 100% the width. Then we have the height to be, for example, 100 pixels. Let's increase the size of the text using font size, for example, 18 pixels. We can change the font of this text using font family, and we set it to be sans serif as an example. Let's push this text a little bit inside using padding. So we just say padding 10 pixels. As you can see, the paddings affected the size of the text area. In order to prevent this one, we can use box sizing, border box, which removes the padding and borders when we are sizing a text area or input inside CSS. All right, let's add some border. So we set the border to be solid, 2 pixels width, and change the color to dark gray. Yeah, everything looks fine now. Let's install this part, the contour section. We set the div that cover this area, contour container. So we target that using dot contour container. First, we change the display to flex to bring them next to each other. But I want this part to be in the left side and this part on the right side. So we can use justify content, a space between, to achieve this goal. Then we want to change the, like we push the button, push these texts to the right and this one to the left a little bit. We can use a padding. We want the padding top and bottom to be 0, but left and right just 5 pixels. All right, that looks fine. Now let's style this paragraph and these numbers. I want this number to be blue and this one to be red. So first we target the paragraph, this paragraph. So we target contour container and its paragraph, and we just change the font size to be 18 pixels, and we change the color to be gray. Let's target the color of 30 and 20. These span has the different classes. The first one is total contour. The second one is remaining contour. So we target them here using dot total contour. We set the color to be white, but I want to use the blue, but the state blue. And for this one, I want to use the orange red color. So we target this using remaining contour, and we set the color to be orange red. That looks okay for now. And in the next section, we're going to use JavaScript to dynamically calculate this total character and the remaining character as well. So when we are writing here, this number is gonna go up and this one goes down from its target, which is here, the max length, which is 50 for now. So see you in the next section for the JavaScript part of our project. All right, in the last section, we have finished with the CSS part of our project. In this section, we are going to start adding functionality to our project using JavaScript. First, we need to create a JavaScript file. So we open the Explorer section using Ctrl-Shift-E, and on the left side, in the Explorer section, we right-click and we click on the new file. We name the file index.js and we press enter. Before using JavaScript in our project, we must add a link to the JavaScript file within the HTML code. So we go back to index.html, and at the end of the body section, we add a script tag. We just write SC and we click on the second auto suggestion, the one with the src. As both files, index.html and index.js are located at the same directory, for the src, we just need to have index.js. Now we can use JavaScript in our project. First, we close the Explorer section on the left side to have more space on the right side. We save this file using Ctrl-S, and we also save the style.css using Ctrl-S, and we go to index.js to start adding functionality to our project. The things we want to do is to track the text which is being written inside this text area, and we count the characters of this text and put it here. And also we get the information from the max length of the text area from here. inside the text area tag, we get this max length and minus that one from the total characters. So first we need to get this text area. So the text area has the ID of text area as well. So we can get this element using getElementById method inside the JavaScript file. We just make a constant here and we call it text area or text area element equal to document.getElementById, and the ID is text area from here. This. And then the things we want to do is to add an event listener to this text area element, and we track the writing inside this section. First, we use Alt-C to turn on the word wrap so we can see all the codes on the left side. We close this a little bit, and we add the add event listener method to this element. The add event listener method has two parameters. The first parameter is the event handler. So the event handler we want to use is key up, which means whatever we press here and we remove the key, we trigger this function that we are going to create here. So this function is going to be triggered once this event handler happens. So let's console log something. We just say key is pressed. We open the console section here using Open DevTools pane inside the console. Now, if you write something inside this text area, we see that the console log is showing something. I wrote 4 characters and we got 4 key is pressed. All right. The things we want to do instead of console logging, we want to change the total character here and calculate the amount of character from here. So we just create a function. We just say update counter, and we create the function under this. We just say update counter, and we need to get the length of this, the things we write here, and we can do it by just saying text area element dot value. So we get the value and we calculate the length of it. So we want to put this one inside this instead of the 30. So we need to get this element as well. So the element is here, the total characters, and the element is this span. And the span has the ID of total counter. So we bring this element using getElementById method. So we just create a constant and we call it total character or total counter element, and we equal it to document.getElementById, and we just write total counter. And here we just equal this to total counter element dot inner text and equal it to this. So when we write something here, for example, I'm writing hello, we have to get the total characters here, for example, 5, but we are getting a wrong one because here, instead of value, we write area value max, which is the problem of the autocorrection. All right. And also we try again. So we are not getting yet, should be some problem. We check total counter. And here is this one is typo, total counter. Let's try again. We just write hello. Now we can see the change inside the total characters, which is 5. And if we keep continue writing, we're getting the real-time character counter until we get to the point which is 50, which is the max length of the text area. Next things we want to do is to show the remaining characters when we are writing inside the text area. The remaining area has the ID of remaining counter. So we copy this and we go to the JavaScript and we write const. We create a constant. We call it remaining counter element. and we equal it to document.getElementById, and here we paste the ID. And we also wanted to get this max length. So in order to get that one, we need to we just say text area.element.get attribute, and the attribute we want to get is this one, max length. So inside a double quote, we just say max length, and we want to equal this to this remaining elements. So we copy this, we put it here, and we just say dot inner text equal to this one. Equal to this one. If you start writing, the remaining is 50, but we want to minus this from the total characters, which is this one we are getting here. So minus this. So when we start writing, we see that this one is 3, this one is 47. And if we keep continue, this one goes bigger and this one gets smaller until we get to the 50 and the remaining is 0. And the other things I would like to do is when someone comes to the website, I want to set the total character to 0 and the remaining to 50. So the best things is just call this function once here. We just say update counter. When we do that one, when someone comes, first the function is triggered and we get the total characters calculated, which is 0, and the remaining is 50. So now we can even remove this 30 and 20 from the spans. And also, if you want to change the max length, you can change it here. For example, you put it 150. So now the remaining is 150, and you can write 150 characters. Yeah, that was it for our project. I hope you enjoyed and learned many things. See you in the next project.